The Mike magazine will be coming to you with more exclusive interviews. Guess who's going to be next? I guess we will never know. Stay tuned to Delta Sip. Angela Buckney here, the voice behind the mic. Delta Sip, where we sip slow and talk what we know. And if you need a commercial, let me know. Want to advertise? Not a problem. We have affordable rates. Call 662-207-2077. The views and opinions expressed in this channel are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they may represent or affiliate with. Okay. Okay, and we want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Delta Sip. We are bringing you live video coverage from Leon Seals' page, where his story has yet to be finished and closed out. So he has the audio from when the Rankin County judge, Whitney Adams, refused or denied the Mike Magazine's media coverage of his uh, court case. So we're going to go straight on over to Leon Seals's page, and we're going to try to let you guys hear what was actually said. You're going to hear the judge asking for an objection from Trey Spielman, who is the prosecutor, right? She asked him for an objection, which I never heard in my life a judge ask for an objection. The judge generally serves as a referee in the court. And so she's like leading in such a way that, she's giving off cues and things like that. And keep in mind, Judge Whitney Adams did not want any electronic media coverage. Now, attorney Ed Rayner, is no longer with us. He passed like a weekend or so ago. He was just buried. And so we now have access to everything that was pretty much said in that court case. And I am glad about it, because she kept saying, if you have on an electronic device, you need to turn it off. If you have on an electronic device, I'm telling you, you need to turn it off. Well, since attorney Ed Rayner is no longer with us, they turned everything over to Leon Seals, and he is now playing it all. And this, we're talking about 5 hours of foolishness. 5 whole hours of foolishness that she did not want the media to cover. So, to me, I can understand why she wouldn't want to be recorded with an audio device, or with any type of visual, right? Um, and let me tell you, Leon Seals' case was pushed all the way to the end of the day. And so when she was done hearing everybody else's case, she said, okay, we're going to hear it now. All to go and say, well, my people, they've been here all day. You're going to hear, you're going to hear how she conducted herself in her courtroom now. You're going to hear how Judge Whitney Adams carried out in her courtroom. She and Trey Spielman and attorney um, Rayner did everything he could. He fought fervently for Leon Seals. And for that, I must say, I am proud. And he even gave me an interview, and he talked about why, you know, he felt that she should have allowed media coverage. Had we had some mainstream Mississippi media people in there, I truly believe we would have had a verdict before now. That verdict was supposed to have been rendered in November. Now, I'm told by a very prestigious attorney that that verdict was supposed to go out the same day in criminal court. Well, guess what? We didn't know that. I didn't know it. She said, "Oh, well, there's no sense in us sitting here looking over these videos together. I can look over it for myself and I'll give my decision." But she never did. And it is even said that she is going to continue to hold her verdict until after the election. Now, I don't know how true that is, but doggone it, November 2024, here we are we're halfway between the new year, and she's still yet to give a verdict. Now, if she's rendered one, I don't know about it. Brace yourself, because you're not going to believe some of the stuff you're going to hear in this court hearing, this court proceeding. It is heartbreaking. I promise you, I can't make it up. But I'm glad we got this audio. Give me a second.
Told my attorney to turn his recorder off. So what was they talking? So
Lieutenant, Lieutenant,
Oh, Lance?
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Lance.
Oh,
No,
I'm not very
not
good at
Lieutenant
that.
Lance.
Who'd you receive? Okay, you received a call to go where?
To Holmes Avenue
And that calls you to do what?
to actually go down and see what was going on between Mr. Seals and Mr. Moore.
Okay, and did you go down there?
Yes, sir.
What did you see when you approached the scene?
When I first got there, Mr. Seals was standing by his vehicle, closer to the, I guess it'd be the north side of Holmes Avenue, close to Sweet Home Church.
Okay, and what was he doing?
At the time, he was just standing by his vehicle, and when I got out, I asked him what was going on between him and Mr. Moore. Basically, surveying his property so that he can have 24 hours before he tows some vehicles. And when I asked what was going on, he said it'd probably be easier for me to explain using paperwork. So during that time, Mr. Seals pulled out his paperwork for ownership of the property, which was a quick claim deed.
yes.
During that time, looking at examining the deed, things like that, I was looking at it to see what exactly was involved and how he got the property. During the course of me speaking with Mr. Seals, Mr. Moore and Mr. Moore's son came out to the street. I went and spoke with the Moores, who also was telling me that during this event that they had with Mr. Seals, that it's the same thing, everything that's been going on for a while. During that course of that, he said that he'd be just being irate and being, I can't remember the exact word he said, but during that course of time, he said that Mr. Moore said he started getting his pistol. And I told Mr. Moore, no, don't do that. So during the course of speaking with Moore, I found out that again, it was over the property dispute where Mr. Seals claimed that he had ownership of the property where 3 vehicles that were being occupied in space by Mr. Moore's son's vehicle. I can show me his paperwork again. And saying that he
And again, we are listening to Leon Seals, um, the audio that was released to him, that was recorded by his attorney, who's the late Ed Rayner, who's no longer with us. Uh, we just heard a second ago where you were listening to the voice of Mr. Darnell, who served in the capacity of law enforcement, say that Mr. Moore said to him, I'm about to go get my pistol on him. Hey, why would you feel that comfortable telling law enforcement? Now, if it's a lie, this is what he said under oath. Why would he feel so comfortable telling law enforcement that he was going to get a pistol, a gun, a weapon to use on Mr. Leon Seals when in fact law enforcement was already there? And keep in mind, this is over a civil matter, which if you've been following Leon Seals' story, you know that he didn't just up and start at this property situation. He was issued a citation for him to clean the property. The property is horrible looking. If you look at the property where his alleged squatters are living, that property has big trucks on it where, if you live in a place like Pearl, you know that there's a city ordinance against having big tow trucks parked on your property. Well, Judge Roberts told him in court, have your clients go and move that truck and all that debris and stuff. You ask Leon Seals, is still there. It is still there to this day, unless they just moved it. And we're hearing a lot about Mr. Moore's attorney Thomas Bellender, that's coming through the pipeline. And we found out through attorney Ed Rayner that he's the one representing Chokwe and Lumumba Bellender. And they say that he's glad to say, oh, I'm married to a black woman. I'm married to a black. Well, my husband is married to a black woman. A lot of people are complaining. A lot of people are complaining about Thomas Bellender, if I'm saying his name correctly. He said, "Oh, we're gonna get a survey done," and then they didn't get a survey done or something like that. I can't remember. Then he said, "We're gonna bring in a mortgage company. We're gonna bring in these people and those people." And in the meantime, Leon Seals is still racking up on criminal charges. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is unbelievable. And for the verdict not to be rendered the same day of a criminal matter, that I'm just floored. I'm floored. Maybe Rankin County makes up the rules as they go. Because to not render your decision on the same day, that stinks to high heaven, as attorney Carlos Moore would say. It stinks to high heaven. I never heard a judge carry out the way she carried out that day. And you got to remember, this is the same officer who called Leon a monkey. You monkey. She had all the body cam footage she needed. Testimony, everybody was there. She still held up
on her verdict for whatever reason from November 2024 to May 2025. I never heard anything like it in my life. Now, we're going to try to get back on track with Leon Seals. Give me just a second.
He did something, didn't
He did.
he? And after you told Mr. Moore to go inside the
grass, we got weed eat.
Never.
All right, any cross?
oh yes.
When he was talking to his wife about him coming out of the charge and his sign.
He said go his pistol. That would have been him with his own mouth indicating that he was going to take it further. Wasn't it?
He said he started to go get his pistol, but there was no indication that he actually kept his pistol. And I told him no.
You defend him.
I'm not defending
More case. I want to May I approach? He was on his own provide. But poor old Leon let Leon Seals, and both these properties between the property that belongs, it shows that these are the properties belonging to Leon. That is before you get on, before you get to Mr. Moore's property, isn't it?
That's what that shows.
Okay. Now, tell me what's the place.
On the street. This year.
It took place. Mr. Moore a while ago where this incident was taking place, and you've got to admit that Mr. Leon Seals was trying to take some old vehicles off the right where y'all were having your discussion, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the vehicles removed.
And you know that the city of Pearl had given him notice that he had to clear those vehicles off of his property, don't you?
Again, like I told him, I'm not sure what the extent of what punishment or fines or what they had for the city of Pearl in that particular issue. That was still community development. I had nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
The issue of the land itself, again, as I said on the video and several times, that is not what I was there for. It was to keep the peace.
Okay, got another piece of another bit of property here. This is one that I showed you earlier today or yesterday. Okay, now is this two copies of the same? Yeah, it's two copies of the same thing. Your Honor, this is another document that we stipulated to, and I'd like to get it marked now.
Me too. I believe it's dated. We had the other was the stage one video. All right, you have your own copy of this?
I do, ma'am. I do. Now, I'm going to show you here what has been marked as Exhibit 2 to go along with it. Now, this piece of property, well, let me get myself oriented. This is of where all this took place.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows here that William Moore's property is G, according to the county. The 85710, correct?
That's what it says on this piece.
Okay. And this property told you that all this property in here is in dispute and that it's in court here in Rankin County, didn't you?
Yes.
Did he tell you that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me show you this. This is an amended complaint, right? And it's the amended complaint. I got it certified here. It's the amended complaint that's been filed by Mr. Moore against Mr. Seals in this courthouse right here. Judge Roberts is presiding over that. Now, Mr. Seals' property, as we look at it here, let me make sure. Mr. Seals' property is right here, G860. That's that strip there. And Mr. Moore's house is on the end of that strip. And this says this property belongs to Leon Seals, doesn't it?
According to this document, yes.
You wouldn't look at that night when he was out there, when he was trying to tell you that that was his property, would you?
I looked at everything he showed me.
Okay, well then you saw this. All right, and this other property up here, G859, is also shows that it belongs to Leon Seals, doesn't it?
That's according to this, it does.
Okay, now
Mr. Rainer, you know that I'm not gonna be deciding who owns the property.
I know you're not, but I'm trying to show you that it does belong to him, and I don't want to expect you to make a ruling.
Stipulated that-
We agreed that we have no idea who owns it. I have no reason to
Tell me
believe
why
he does.
now.
I didn't stipulate to that. I know who
Well,
owns
I'm
it.
agreeing to what you're trying to
Well, I
substantiate.
guess
here.
my question is, I mean, if it's not relevant to today, if it is relevant, I need to know. Is it relevant to a defense?
Well, the relevance is that my client says that night he did exactly what
We haven't testified yet, but you're saying he's going to.
he's going to.
Okay.
He's going to say that night when that law officer, the one sitting right here, told him to go home, that he went around his car and across the ditch and got on his property, and he was home. His house is not very, very far from that. So my contention, he was complying with the officer's request, then he cannot be charged with failure to comply or disorderly conduct. And that's what I'm trying to show this court.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna let your client testify and tell me all those things. I just don't see the relevance of this, you berating this witness about who owns the property.
I'm not
Because I
trying.
mean, I just don't see how that's important.
Well, I
For
beg
today.
to differ with the court. I'm not trying to berate him, but I am cross-examining
But to what end?
to the end to show that Mr. Moore told this officer and told us right here in the court. Well, he didn't. He refused to tell us. He took the Fifth Amendment. When I asked him, was he claiming the property all the way up to Holmes Avenue from his house?
He took the fifth.
He took the
I
Fifth
got that.
Amendment.
So noted.
Yeah, right. And the fact of the matter is that Mr. Seals is the one and I'm trying to show you that according to the complaint that was filed by Mr. Moore in the Chancery Court of Rankin County and Judge Roberts' court, is not over any property other than this one that is being referred to as, let's see, this one that is being referred to as Willie Moore, G85710. And that property is on the left side, on the right side of his house, which is located on G860, which is Leon Seals' property. And Leon Seals' property further is, just north of there is G859, Leon Sills's property. And Leon Sills's property is the one that borders on Holmes Avenue. And that's where this officer just said that this incident took place. Right there, you saw him point to it on exhibit number 1.
Sure.
So Mr. Sills was on his own property when the officer told him to go home. He went around.
I can testify to that. If you've got another question for him.
I've got another question for him. Yes, ma'am, I have.
But not if it's trying to get him to decide who owns the property.
All right.
I just don't see where that's relevant for this proceeding. Because I'm not going to ultimately decide that issue.
Well, you may not decide that issue, but if he was on his own property, he went to his own property after the officer told him to, how can you hold him, or how can you say that he was not complying with the officer's command?
Well, that's certainly what he can raise in his testimony. I just not
Well,
so much to try to elicit that from this witness. So
then I would ask the court to, well,
you want to introduce that into evidence?
I do. I want to introduce this,
Any response from the state? Was this one of the documents?
and this is the amended complaint. Both of those say nothing about
They're relevant, but if you want to introduce them and you're not objecting, then those will be introduced. I'm going to do that as one exhibit though. The
Yes, ma'am.
original for us and the front and the amended in the back.
Okay.
Maybe good. So those are D3.
So you were there. I'm sorry, Your Honor. May I
Okay,
proceed?
absolutely, go ahead.
Were you there the next day
Yes,
on that very same piece of property?
yes,
Okay. Were those vehicles out there?
yes.
Okay. And you arrested him again?
Judge, we're in the trial right now for the 25th. We agreed that we would conclude that. Before we get into the 26th.
All right. Maybe for.
We did do that. I mean, but is it the state's?
We would have to call him again. It's like a new trial for the 26th.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Seal, who did you say called you that day to go out down on the 25th, to go down there to Holmes Avenue?
Mr. Reynolds, but my supervisor called me.
Sir?
He called me Mr. Seals, Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Reynolds, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, my supervisor called me to go down there.
And your supervisor is who?
Lieutenant Billy Hudson, he was.
Did you hear in that video there that was just played that Mr. Moore first called the mayor to complain about this?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you think the mayor then called your supervisor?
It's possible.
Okay. And it is true that you are a good friend of Mr. Moore, aren't you?
No,
No, never knew him before.
no.
But you do know from experience that Mr. Moore and the mayor are good friends.
I don't know what their relationship
That
entails.
would be speculation.
Well,
That's the same.
anything else? Okay. That's all, John.
Any redirect?
Just a couple of questions, Judge. Who made the decision to arrest Leon Seals?
I did.
Why did you make that decision?
Because he,
Object to that. I didn't go into any of those, that area. That's improper
You just
redirect.
asked.
We talked about him being arrested. That'll be over. Go ahead.
Who made the decision to arrest Leon Seals?
I did.
Ultimately, why?
Because Leon without guilt.
Now, Your Honor, I am going to object to
Okay,
that
well, we already.
because there
covered
was
this.
never any question asked by him or me as to why he was arresting my client.
I'm actually, he did
I'm
get into
gonna
that.
allow it.
right?
Let's have a roll. Go ahead.
Summarize why you arrested Leon Seals.
Mr. Seals' presence on Holmes Avenue was at just a antagonizing position. This has been through what he told me, Mr. Seals and Mr. Moore, an ongoing situation where punches were thrown, guns were pulled, suggesting guns were pulled, and that's why I kept asking him if he would just go home and let the guy down, handle all his property issues through court. I asked, and he refused to go. And you heard in the video and some of the statements as to why. After he refused, I placed him under arrest so that it wouldn't be any other confusion for the rest of the night.
Okay, last question. At the time, based on the information available to you, do you have any idea who owned the property?
No, sir.
Was it your job to determine who owned the property?
No, sir.
Okay, no more questions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you got there, was someone actively towing vehicles? Was there a record there?
Not on the 25th.
Not on the 25th, there was not.
No.
So it was all this discussion, but none of that was taking place at the time.
No.
Okay. Any questions after hearing the court's question?
No, Your Honor.
After hearing the court's question from the defense?
I don't really have any further questions, Your Honor.
All right, this witness is excused from here. You can have a seat back with the state. Does the state have a second witness?
We do not. This is our second. We do not.
Oh,
have a
that's
third.
right. Okay. So this
We
is,
rest, Your Honor.
all right, anything closing from the state? You don't have to. If you want to, I'm going to give you that opportunity.
Judge, I'll go ahead and give a close now. I don't know if he's planning to testify, but I'm
Yes, he is.
That's right, let's
Okay,
stop. I'm
okay.
not getting ahead of myself. All right, safe rest.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask Mr. Seals to take the stand, Your Honor.
Now I'm about to take the stand.
May I sit here?
You can, absolutely, that's fine. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to testify, to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, have a seat.
May I have a seat up there?
You can, that's fine.
Thank you, ma'am. Would you state your name for the record, please, sir?
Leon Seals.
Where do you live, Mr. Seals?
I stay on 355 South Sweet Home Church Road.
Mr. Seals, tell us what happened that day. That would be on the 25th day of November 2023, probably somewhere in the late afternoon of that day.
Yes, sir. I had talked to many officers who letting me know that I could put a fence up and put signs up, no trespassing, no parking. So I went to my property to proceed, putting no trespassing signs up and no parking. And they said in 24 hours, I could have the vehicles towed. So I had been out there around about 3 hours putting signs up, and a pair of police officer came by the name of Lofton and asked me what was going on. And I told him nothing, just checking my property, putting signs up, eventually go put a fence up. He was like, okay, just do me a favor, don't say nothing to the Moors. So yes, sir, I ain't got to argue with them. And he drove off. So I proceeded doing what I'm doing. And an hour later, Mr. Darnell Reynolds pulls up out of nowhere and started questioning me.
What did he ask?
He asked me what was going on between the Moors. And at the time, nothing was going on. Leon wasn't bothering anybody. I was on my property, minding my business. And he proceeded to continue asking me questions, which I knew he wasn't gonna want to listen to nothing I had to say. They probably had their mind already made up before he came. As you can see, the mayor called Billy Hudson, and Billy Hudson called him, and the mayor buddies with Willie Moore. Willie Moore actually ran for alderman at large.
Objection.
So
Hold on, sir.
Objection. He has no idea who told who to call who. There's been no proof presented other than
Speculation or
Speculation,
hearsay or whatever. Any
yes.
response, Mr. Rayner?
Well, the officer that just testified said that it was possible that the mayor was the first one to call, And Mr. Moore was the one on that film that said he called the mayor.
I'm not gonna allow it. You can't tell me what, you can't just speculate us and offer it as evidence. When it's objected to, you could have objected earlier, but you didn't.
Suggested what?
You could have objected to the testimony earlier, but you didn't,
Of what?
of the speculation. I'm not gonna let you speculate as to what other people did. You tell me what you saw, what you heard.
Yes, ma'am, I
what
know.
you said.
Well,
I know.
I listened to the video and I watched the video and I suppose it's in evidence now.
Yes, ma'am, I learned more from the video.
If you've got another question, go ahead.
Ma'am?
Mr. Reiner, if you've got another question for your witness, go ahead.
Well, yes, I have a few more questions. Mr. Steele, let's get down to where in the video it shows that you and your wife had an argument, okay?
Yes,
What did Mr. Reynolds do shortly after your wife walked back home?
he made a phone call. And from me being, I've never seen a police officer make a phone call before he arrests someone. And I haven't committed any crime, as they stated earlier. It was a civil matter. I don't see how I get arrested over a civil matter. And he make a phone call and tell who he said was Billy Hudson. He tired of being out there. So basically he arrested me for being tired of being out there, which I told him he could leave. I never called him to my property.
And was it at that point, if you can remember, at what point did he tell you to go home?
He told me go home right at the end of the video. He told me go home. And that's when I walked to my property thinking I'm safe on my property. Nobody had permission. I got no trespassing signs, so no one had permission to come on my property. So I figured I was at home based on being on my property.
So what happened after you walked around to your property?
He told me to come here. And I told him I'm spending the night here. I'm on my property. And he went and made the phone call, and that's when he come back, told me, come here, I'm under arrest. And he walked on my property and got me.
Okay. Did he put you in handcuffs?
Yes, sir.
Did you try to resist him or do
No.
anything of that nature?
No, sir. And as of today, my property is not in court. As of today, still, my property is not in court. The record's here to prove it. I know we're not here to discuss who property, whose, but my property is not in court, so there's no doubt that it's mine.
Did you in any way have plans or were you going to escalate the situation?
No, sir, not at all. As you can see, when he pulled up, I was there by myself, hasn't spoke to Willie Moore, hasn't even went to my property, which their house is on. I never did go to their door. I never did do anything. I was minding my business, not messing with anyone. And I had been there 2 to 3 hours and didn't plan on messing with no one. As I stated, I was gonna have them to come watch me get the cars removed. From my understanding, police officers told me I could have the vehicles removed and call a police officer to watch me get the vehicles removed, which you'll see in the next video. That officers arrived, assisted me on getting the vehicles removed, and Darnell came and arrested me again.
Okay, let's just stay on the one for the 25th. He arrested you that day, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
And did you go to jail?
Yes, sir.
What did they set your bond at?
$100,000.
$100,000.
Yes, sir.
With that one incident that they call failure to comply or discouragement.
No, I think that day wasn't 100,000. I think that day, because I got out the next day. Well, I got out that same night. So I think it had to be anywhere from 50 to 70 that night.
Okay.
I'm not 100%. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I burned it out that night.
That night or the next morning?
I burned it out that night. Sosa, actually, while we was in the booking room, Sosa and Lynn.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to identify, the judge has got that question and look on her face. Who is, are you talking about Sosa? Who is that?
James Sosa is another parapolice officer.
Yes, sir.
He's not here today, but I seen Lynn is here today. And we was in the booking room and
Okay, don't say what he said. That'd be hearsay.
all right. Well, in the booking room, Sosa told me.
No, you can't say.
Oh, I can't say what he said.
No, sir.
So I was told after seeing my paperwork, they would stick their neck out for me and have the vehicles removed tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions I got of him on this particular
Any
charge.
cross?
Just a few. Mr. Seals, when Officer Donnell Reynolds told you to go home, you testified that you were going home to where you believe your home was, that piece of property over there that is close to where Mr. Moore lives, correct? That's where you're gonna sleep that night?
I had a house right there too. Still got one there right now.
Okay, was that where you were when they put you under arrest? Were you in the house?
I was at G859
Okay.
on my property.
Is there a bed over there? Is there somewhere you can sleep?
You don't have to sleep on a bed. You can sleep on a
My
bed.
question was, is there a bed? Do you normally sleep on a bed, Mr. Seals? Or do you normally sleep on the ground?
I sleep in my car sometime.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just went to the racetrack, slept in my van the other night.
Okay. But the question was there a bed over there where you were?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention for a bed. I seen the tie in the video. I didn't pay attention to a bed.
Okay. They're your property though, right? I know where my bed is. Do you know where your bed is on your property?
I got multiple.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. You said, let's see, you were out there for 2 or 3 hours doing what before the police pulled up?
Putting signs up.
Judge, I'm gonna ask if they don't coach the witness. He's looking straight at these ladies and she just said surveying the land.
No, actually, I was just looking at Darnell.
Okay, well, somebody just said surveying the land.
Now, the land been surveyed.
Okay. So for 2 or 3 hours, you were surveying the land?
No, I was putting signs up saying no parking and no trespassing
Okay.
and getting ready to put a fence up.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
All right, you redirect. You can do it from there if you want to.
That's okay. I don't think I had any further questions.
Okay. I did do that.
Yeah.
All right,
I
thank you,
didn't
Mr.
want to get
Seals.
that.
Any other witnesses from the defense?
I don't think so, no.
All right, we're ready to move on to the second matter.
Judge, sure, or do we want to do closing on these? I think it is a different.
That's fine.
Okay, I've got a
Okay,
brief
that's
closing
fine.
argument. Yes, my closing argument, Judge, is only to read the part of the Maston versus State case that identifies the elements of disorderly conduct, which includes failure to comply. One, somebody is guilty of disorderly conduct if they, with intent to provoke a deep breach of the peace or under such circumstances as to may lead to a breach of the peace. Two, the purpose of the request, command, or order was to avoid the breach of the peace. Mr. Reynolds didn't go out there to arrest Mr. Sills. He went out there to keep the peace. Whether or not the peace was actually breached, which I think it was, and we can see on the video due to the escalation of his demeanor, we were headed toward the breach of the peace. So that's element 1 and 2. The person giving command was a law enforcement officer. Mr. Reynolds were with Pearl PD at the time, okay? And the LEO had authority to give that command. His command was to settle down. His command was to not breach the peace. He didn't want to arrest Mr. Seals. Nobody wanted Mr. Seals to go to jail that night. In fact, He said himself, especially not some conspiracy. It was Donnell on his own testimony. It was his decision based on multiple refusals to cooperate with the command to keep the peace that he finally had to take Mr. Seals to jail to prevent a potential or actual breach of the peace. And that's my only argument. I think we saw the video. It speaks for itself, Judge.
Anything closing from the defense?
Yes, ma'am. That's very interesting that he would argue a breach of the peace at this point, and I am familiar with the law that he's talking about. But that law, I think it's 953571 of the code, that was passed back in the early 60s. That law was passed to deal with people who were causing a disturbance, if you may, in the civil rights movement. And I don't know that that law would have ever been passed the way it is if it hadn't been for that. But nevertheless, the law says in that statute that if a law enforcement officer then and there the authority to arrest makes a lawful command to someone and they do not obey that command, and if it is apparent that if that command is not obeyed, that there will be or could be a breach of the peace to occur. Now, I'm still not, none of the witnesses that have testified have said anything about a breach of the peace. Now, the prosecutor argues it, but none of the witnesses have said anything about a breach of the peace or that there was about to be a breach of the peace. I heard the officer say it was escalating. I watched that video. I didn't see anything that was escalating. My client was not threatening anybody. When the officer told him to go home, he went over to his property. And the officer decided I guess he decided that wasn't far enough for him to be at home. So he went up of his own volition and put handcuffs on my client. My client didn't resist. He had never indicated before that he was going to escalate, as the officer said, to where it would work into a breach of the peace or potentially into a breach of the peace. And I'm still wondering what kind of breach of the peace that would have been. There's been no testimony to that. So my argument is twofold. They have not proved the elements of 953571. And my client was of the opinion that he was obeying the command of the officer. The officer didn't say it. It plainly shows in the video when Mr. Seals.
I heard his argument on that. It's 3:10. I want to make sure we get to these other two affidavits. I don't want to cut you off if you got some new things to argue, but I heard that argument just right now, so I've got that. All right, let's move on to affidavit number 2. Is the state ready to proceed on the second affidavit?
We are.
And that affidavit is going to be 394280. That's a disorderly conduct failure to comply affidavit.
For the 26th, correct? We're on the November 26th.
Y'all want to hear the second one tonight? I'll shut it down
Yes.
for the night.
All right, and the defendant, are we doing these two together? Because they're the same day, or are we doing these separately like we did the first one?
So I think we could hear testimony that would.
Mr. Rayner, do you agree?
I don't have any problem with that.
Let's do this together.
Okay.
All right, call your next witness.
Officer Lentz, I think you know.
Thank you, sir. And so at this point, I've got from the state, one exhibit that's been entered, and that was the video. From the defense, I've got the survey, I've got a picture from the plat map, and I've got the two pictures. And those are the only exhibits thus
Can y'all
far.
see it here pretty good?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that right, Andrew?
I believe so, Your Honor. We've got about 5 or so different body cameras. Several of them are on at the same time.
Okay,
I understand the defense may want to watch every single one of them. If they do, I have no objection to that.
let's go ahead, sir, come on up. If you would stand right there at the corner. Just right here, this corner. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to testify, to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a seat, please.
This is Lieutenant Lynch at the Perry Police Station, the one that tased
All
me.
right, sir, state your name.
Lieutenant Tyler Lentz,
And Lieutenant Lentz, where are you employed?
Pearl Police Department.
Pearl Police Department. I want to bring your
Spell your
attention.
name, just for me, please. Spell your last name.
Lents.
I want to bring your attention to November 26th, 2023. Do you
Yes,
remember that day?
Yes, sir.
Were you on duty on that day?
Yes, sir.
Did you make an encounter with Mr. Leon Seals on that day?
Yes, sir.
Was that encounter within the city limits of Pearl, Mississippi?
It was.
Pearl and Rankin County, Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell us what caused you to go out there where did you make that contact with him?
We were called to a disturbance over somebody's truck getting towed.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I sit over there
Yeah,
again, please,
sure,
because when I can't see his mouth moving.
Not a problem,
I wish our table was a little bit higher there.
not a problem.
It's the second day. I was arrested again the next day after
Go
an
ahead.
officer told me to move the
I
car.
think the question was, what caused you to make that contact with Leon Seals?
A call came in for disturbance.
Okay. Where was that?
Can't remember if it's Holmes Avenue.
Okay.
It's 108 Holmes Avenue or 112.
All right. And when you arrived to that property, the property in question, what did you see?
Saw a tow truck pulled sideways in the road, about to tow a vehicle off of out of the yard of the residence.
Okay. Was this man here on the scene?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is his name?
Leon Seals.
Ed, just play the video, huh? Any objections playing this video?
No.
Okay. At this time, we'd ask to play Officer Lentz's video that was previously stipulated.
All right, this will be the state's second exhibit. I'm gonna go ahead and admit it and play it.
Okay.
How long is this video?
20?
I would say max 20. A lot of them are, simultaneous, different perspectives. It's shorter than the last one.
Is there a reason? I mean, is the video more, is it the state's perspective? Is the video is better evidence than?
Is there a way to
The
dim the
testimony?
lights rather than turn them off? I'm sorry, Judge.
Mr. Rayner, is it the defendant's perspective or that the video is better evidence than your testimony?
I would think so.
Well, I mean, if we've got 8 hours of video, 8 more videos to watch,
We've got
then
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I believe that the longest one is probably 20 minutes.
we've got 6 more videos
But
to
some of
watch.
these videos are the same incident, particularly Officer Lentz and Lofton.
All right,
We're
here's
at the
my
same
next
place at the
question.
same
Has the
time.
state viewed all of the videos?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
What,
Mr. Rayner, have you and your client viewed all of the videos?
We have viewed the videos.
All right, then I'm gonna let the parties call their witnesses and testify and cross them,
Okay,
and I'll watch the videos, but there's no reason for us to watch the
Okay.
videos again together.
okay.
So I'm gonna
I
watch
think
the,
it's very important for you to watch
so
this.
I'm gonna watch the videos. Anything that's admitted into evidence, the court's gonna review. But I don't want us to miss finishing this matter, if at all possible, before the end of the day. And I can
Okay.
watch the videos afterwards without keeping my staff.
Okay.
So I'm going to watch, I'll hold hands and watch it together. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and question this witness.
Okay.
And, all right,
We were at the point, Officer Lentz, that you had arrived on scene, correct?
let me make certain of this.
Okay,
Miss Massey, you have Litz's video. All right, so that's been admitted. You'll put that on your list as the state's second exhibit. All right, go ahead.
You had testified you had arrived on the scene in Pearl on the thing, whatever the street is, where Mr. Seals resides. Right?
Down the street from him.
Yeah, okay. When you
Different
got there, did you make contact with Mr. Seals?
Yes, sir.
What was he doing at the time when you arrived?
He was holding a folder saying that he's about to tow that truck off of what he says was his property.
Okay. Did you view the contents of that folder?
Not entirely.
Okay.
He showed me a couple pages from it.
Okay. Were there anybody else out there that lived in the area?
Yes.
Who else was out there?
Willie Jr. I'm sorry, Willie Moore. I think technically he's a senior. That gentleman outside's son.
Okay.
And I can't remember the other guy's name. He was out there also.
Did you make contact with that person?
Yes.
Okay. What happened after that?
Both Mr. Leon and the other people at the residence were saying that their property was where the trucks were parked. I told them we can't get involved in it. That's something that's got to be taken up in civil court.
Okay.
And
At the time that you arrived on the scene, were you aware that an incident happened the night before?
No, sir.
Okay. So when did you become aware that this had been an ongoing matter?
So I was aware that it's been an ongoing matter. I was not aware of the previous night's encounter until I was sent the email with all the videos.
Okay. So you had no idea. Your testimony is that when you got there on 26th, you had no idea that there had been any other testimony, any other incident the night before.
Correct.
And you became aware of that only when you got the videos after the fact.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was your opinion of the towing of the vehicles at the time that you were there on the 26th?
That we couldn't get involved in it as long as the peace was kept.
Okay, that the peace was kept. Okay, that's what your testimony is. Your job was to go out there and keep the peace.
Yes, sir.
At any time when you were there, was there a propensity or a trajectory towards the peace not being kept?
Yes, sir.
And tell us about that.
It doesn't matter what we were telling Mr. Seals, he would do the opposite or what he thought was right. It didn't matter if we were telling him it was wrong or not right. He would gonna tow the truck off anyways. I mean, we told him to go home. He wouldn't go home. We told him to get off the property. He'd get back on the property. I mean, we can't say whether it's his or not.
Okay. But again, your testimony was that you were there to keep the peace. Now,
Yes.
You also said that you made contact with some of the Moors. That would be, irregardless of who owns the property, they seem to be neighbors, correct? Or they were in the same vicinity?
Right.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you give them any commands?
I told them to keep quiet, just stay in your yard and keep the peace.
What did they do when you gave them those commands?
The first subject that I don't remember his name, he stepped back on the other side of the trucks near the house. Mr. Willie's son, he kind of raised his voice, but when he was told to keep quiet, go back by the trucks, he did so.
Okay.
And said that he would file his truck as stolen after it was towed.
Okay. Were you on the scene when Mr. Reynolds appeared?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did y'all have a disagreement about what was to happen out there with the vehicles?
We had a brief discussion of what was going on, and I got a personal phone call that I took
Okay.
right after.
Okay. So at that point, what did you do? You stepped away from the scene, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I walked towards my patrol vehicle, and somebody that I knew previously had gave me a phone call about something unrelated. I told him to call the police department and then that I'm busy on a call.
Okay. Did you re-engage after that with the?
By the time I got off the phone call, he was already in custody.
Okay. Okay. So your testimony, just to surmise, was that you appeared there was something going on with the vehicles. There's perhaps a dispute over.
Objective leading the witness, Your Honor. He's telling something appeared.
Okay, sure.
It's a shame.
What is your, okay. Summarize your involvement with the November the 26th, 2023, involving Mr. Leon Seals.
We arrived at about a truck being on a property that's been disputed. We told Mr. Leon to leave it alone. He did not.
Okay. And then at that point, you received a call and did what?
Took my phone call.
Yeah.
I stepped away to take the phone call, told him to call 911 and talk to dispatch.
So did you have any, what decision-making of your own went into arresting Mr. Seals, or not arresting Mr. Seals, or arresting anybody else?
None.
Okay. Without playing the video, that's all I have for this
All
week.
right, any cross for this witness?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Mr. Lentz, Officer Lentz, rather. Is that Lentz?
Yes.
Yes, okay. When Officer Reynolds first arrived on the scene, and you say you watched that video, right?
Yes, sir. I was also there.
Sir?
I was also there.
Okay. What did he ask you when he first arrived? That is Mr. Reynolds, Officer Reynolds.
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
No, sir.
Didn't he ask you, if you've seen that video, you know what he said, don't you?
I don't recall.
Okay. Don't you recall, sir, that he asked you what Leon was doing wrong, or asked you what Leon was doing? You told him nothing. He's just getting the vehicles off his property.
I said that he was towing the vehicle. I did say that he was towing the vehicle.
But you did say that Leon wasn't doing anything wrong, didn't you?
At that time.
At that time. Well, if he hadn't, that is Reynolds hadn't shown up, you'd have just watched him take those vehicles off the property, wouldn't you?
I can't say whether I would have or would not have done.
But up to the time, there was another officer there too, wasn't there?
Yes, sir.
Saucer?
Yes, sir.
Is he here today?
No, sir.
Why not?
I can't testify to that.
Well, I asked that he be here. You couldn't get in touch with him?
He was on standby this morning, and he is on duty today. We had not intended, due to the length of this and the like I said, his video, they were all there at the same time. It would be duplicative to have the same people testify the same things. So we did not intend.
That's not the reason, Your Honor. The reason is he would
end.
testify directly opposite to what this officer said.
Well, we're just at this point in the state's witnesses. I mean, if you want to present someone as a witness, then we'll certainly hear it before the end, but let's just deal with this witness for now. We'll deal with that issue at a later time.
At the point that Officer Reynolds arrived, there wasn't any escalation to anything that was going on out there, was there?
There were definitely people raising their voices.
Who raised their voices?
I believe it was Willie Sr.,
Willie Sr.? Okay.
the owner of the truck.
The owner of the truck. Why do you think that he owns the truck?
He said it was his.
Really? Did he show you a title to it?
No, sir.
Did you know that vehicle was one of the vehicles your court to remove off the property?
I'm not a part of that division.
You're not a part of that division, so you're not gonna say anything, you're not gonna say anything that might help Mr. Seals, are you?
I'm gonna say what I can testify to.
Who called you to go out there that day?
Dispatch.
Dispatch? Okay. Do you admit or deny that on that video, you told Officer Reynolds when he got there that Mr. Seals wasn't doing anything wrong?
I said he was not the one raising his voice.
Sir?
He was not the one raising his voice.
And didn't you say that he didn't do anything wrong? Do you deny it?
I don't recall saying those exact words.
Are you going to change your mind if that video shows that you said Mr. Seals wasn't doing anything wrong?
Sure.
Sir?
Sure.
Okay. And you said you knew nothing about what happened on the 25th, right?
Correct.
But you talked to Mr. Seals after he had been arrested at the police department that night, didn't you?
That night?
Yes, sir. On the night of the 25th.
I don't remember that.
Well, are you saying that if Mr. Seals says y'all did talk, that he's lying?
I'm not going to call anybody a liar.
Sir?
I'm not going to call anybody a liar.
I'm sorry, I have a little trouble here.
Yes, sir.
I'm old. So it's possible that you did talk to him.
Anything's possible.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you said you didn't know nothing about what happened on the 25th, didn't you, under direct examination?
Correct.
But if you talked to him that night, you would have known, wouldn't you?
Not necessarily.
You don't think he would have told you? You don't think y'all would have, you would have said, what you doing here?
Me and Miss Seals did not have a very good relationship. We wouldn't have conversated like that.
That's right. You tased him when he was in his own house before what happened.
That happened allegedly after November 2023. It has no relevance as to guilt or innocence in November.
But it shows his prejudice against Mr. Seals.
It's possible that his alleged precedence could have occurred after November 26. It doesn't show you any
I'll allow it.
prejudice.
I'll allow it. Go ahead. Restate your question.
I don't think it would do me any good to restate it, Your Honor, so I'll move on.
Well, I'm just saying so I could hear it and then you can
Okay.
answer. I mean, if
Sure.
that's what you wish, but
Sure.
if you want to
You
move on, that's fine
tased
too.
Mr. Seals while he was standing in the door of his own home on or about June the 16th of 2024, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And you got chewed out about it by your chief, didn't you?
No, sir.
By the mayor.
No, sir.
Nobody chewed you out about
No,
it?
sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I gotta warn you, we have an audio and possibly a video of the mayor just chewing you out about tasing somebody when he's standing at the door of his own house. Now, do you want to stick with your answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to ask this judge and others when we prove that you're not telling the truth, that you be indicted. You still want to stick with that?
I'm not changing my story.
Whether it was false or not, right?
It is not false.
You say you didn't tase him?
That is not at all what I said.
And you say you didn't get chewed out about it?
No, sir.
So, 6 at the location. Your Honor, let me look at have that map.
It's right here.
survey.
It's right here. The survey is here.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, this has been introduced into evidence.
Okay.
As Exhibit 1. Do you see here where the survey shows Holmes, and that's Sweetwater, Holmes Avenue, right over here?
Yes, that's
Okay.
Holmes Avenue.
Show me about where this incident in here, that's the corner of Holmes Avenue and Sweet Home Church Road. Can you show me about where on this map this incident occurred on the 26th?
If you can show me where the ditch is, I'm just right next to the ditch. I'm not a surveyor. I can't.
Well,
can't
what
read
I'm
that
talking
very well.
about is, did it occur between the intersection of Sweet Home Church and Holmes Avenue?
Near the intersection?
Pardon?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay. Can you tell me whether or not it occurred along this property line from the intersection of Sweet Home Church Road and Holmes Avenue?
I cannot.
You can't tell me where it occurred?
It occurred on Holmes Avenue. I'm not a surveyor.
Well,
I can't tell you.
was it 2 miles from here, from the intersection? Or
No, sir.
200 yards? Or
It was
how
within
far was
eyesight.
it? Pardon?
It was within eyesight.
Okay. It occurred about, one of those vehicles about here?
I cannot testify to that.
Well, then you can't testify to anything. Were those vehicles, whose property were those vehicles on?
I can't testify to that.
Well, we have evidence, I think that's been introduced already, that this property right here is Leon's, all the way from this corner up to the intersection of Holmes and Sweet Home Church Road. So it had to occur somewhere between this place here that says pipe. They found a pipe there, the surveyor did, and the intersection, didn't it?
Mr.
I cannot
Randall, let's
testify
move
to
on
that.
to the next question. He's answered, but he doesn't know the exact location based on that survey. What's your
But-
next question?
But you say that you could, where y'all were standing down here, you could see the intersection
Yes,
of Home Church Road, Sweet Home Church Road, and this point here couldn't, or wherever you were.
from where we were standing, yes, sir.
And did Mr. Willie Moore assert to you that he owned this property?
I'm not sure if he owned that property that you're pointing to.
But he
but
asserted
He claimed to have owned the property that the truck was parked at.
that the truck's parked,
Yes, sir.
when in truth, in fact, he doesn't.
I cannot testify to that.
Yeah, we've gone through this several times.
I
You
know.
did, pardon? You didn't, when Mr. Moore was asked about whether he owned it or not, he took the Fifth Amendment. Did you know that?
Judge, irrelevant to his testimony as to what he saw.
Mr. Randall, let's move on from now.
Well, just a minute, Your Honor. It's pretty obvious to me, Your Honor, that the officer is got fear in his eyes, so he's having to testify the way he's testifying. So we want to ask him any other questions.
All right, any redirect?
Judge, just a few. You testified that you didn't know on the 26th that they had gone out there on 25th.
Correct.
Okay. And would it have changed your opinion? All right. You also testified that, I think on the cross that you admitted that your words were at that point, you thought he hadn't done anything wrong as far as towing the vehicles, because you think your words were civil, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would it have
He's
changed?
telling the officer what to say, Your Honor, with his question.
So do you have an objection?
I do. I object to him leading the witness.
Okay, I will withdraw it. Would it have changed your opinion if you had known that Officer Reynolds was out there on the 25th and dealt with the same property dispute issues that occurred on the 26th?
Yes, sir.
What would your opinion have been had you had that information when you were out there?
Speculation,
If I-
objection.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You're asking him to speculate on what is.
Okay. All right, my last question is my question. I think you answered that. That was, okay, no further questions.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything further for this witness from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Anything further for this witness from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm finally excusing you then. You're welcome to stay in the courtroom, or you can leave the courthouse.
Yeah.
And you don't have to return. All right, thank you, sir. Any other witnesses?
We're gonna
from the
call
state?
Officer Reynolds. I think was previously sworn in.
You've already been sworn in. You're still under oath.
Okay, we already went through introductions.
Give me just a moment
Okay.
just to answer some things. All right, you can begin.
All right, we talked about the 25th. We want to talk about November 26th, 2023. Were you on duty that day with Pearl PD?
Yes, sir.
All right, did you respond to a call out, the same property you were out on the 25th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what caused you to go back out there?
That there was call came in that he was towing cars after being specifically asked to stay away from that property due to the circumstances that occurred previously the night before and further in time.
Okay, when you got out there, there was clearly a disagreement with maybe other officers and landowners again, correct?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, when I got there and the record driver had already started pulling one of the vehicles, I informed the record driver to put it down because it's a civil matter that he didn't want to get involved in. When I approached Mr. Seals again, it was explained to him that he was not to go down there from the previous night because of the same reason of causing a disruption in the peace, because now he's trying to tow the cars off the property. Again, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Again, he's asserting that, again, it's his property, and going back to what the previous night's interactions of the dispute over the property was still valid.
Okay, so you're testifying that it was basically the same dispute going on that carried over till the 26th.
Yes, sir. And at this point, Mr. Seals is carrying out what he stated on the 25th that he was going to tow the vehicles off the property.
Okay, and on the 20th, we just heard it.
Mhm.
On the 25th, what commands did you give him as it pertains to the vehicles and property and the keeping of the peace?
That it was going to be a civil matter until when we get called about the vehicles being towed, and then became, again, a criminal matter because it started a breach of the peace. As what was previously testified to is that the car was going to be reported stolen.
And again, your job when you went out to that property on the 26th was what?
To keep the peace, and it had been broken because of the towing of the vehicles.
Did you have conversation with Mr. Seals on the 26th again?
Yes, sir. I asked him, I said, Leon, go home or go to jail. He asked Officer Lentz, do I have to go home? Officer Lentz told him that he asked me to give him a lawful order, and Mr. Seals stood there. So I placed him under arrest and placed him in the back of my car.
For what charges?
For, again, disobeying the command of the police officer for not going back down. And he went back down and towing cars off instead of handling it through civil courts. And he was asked to try to handle it that way until it's a definite description of whose property it was. And then for him to either go home or go to jail, and he didn't go home. He stood there.
Okay. 1 second, Your Honor. Intended witness.
Any Cross?
Yes, ma'am. Just pull it up on here if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Do you admit or deny? Well, let me back up. Who called you this second time on the 26th to go out to Holmes Avenue?
That call was on the radio, and it was also, I did receive a phone call about it as well.
Who called?
I said my lieutenant again called me again.
Again?
That was
Same
after.
lieutenant?
But it was after it was also put on across the radio.
Do you know how he got the information?
No.
Okay. Are you aware that this video doesn't show you telling Leon that he was under arrest for failure to comply with the command of an officer?
Which video?
Pardon?
Which video?
The video of this 26th, all of them.
I think me saying Leon go home and go to jail says that he's under arrest.
You think what? I'm sorry, your voice is very hard for me to pick up.
Me asking Mr. Seals to go home and go to jail is self-explanatory.
Okay, we asked him to go home. Who are we?
I didn't say we.
I thought you did.
I did not.
Okay. So you didn't say we, so it was you that asked him to go home.
I think I might have said me, not
Okay.
me.
Okay. You said me asked him to go home. All right. Well, we got it recorded. And
Yes.
we'll get it transcribed eventually.
Okay.
So that night, you were very, very angry with Mr. Seals, weren't you?
The night of the 25th.
26th.
It was the daytime, and yeah, I got angry with Mr. Seals. I did.
You told him over and over again that your ass is mine, didn't you?
At one point in the video, I did tell him. I didn't say it over and over and over again.
You
But I
said
did say
it
it.
more than one time, didn't you?
Probably.
You were out to get him, weren't you?
No.
Well, we've got ample proof and evidence, I think, now that proves that that property there belongs to Leon Seals.
That's now not a year ago.
Sir?
That's today, not a year ago.
Mr. Rayner, hand me back that first exhibit for the defendants.
Okay. If you had known that a year ago, or what, well, let's see, that was not a year ago, that was on November 26th, 23. So if you had known the property belonged to him, would you have arrested him?
If we would consider that a breach of peace, it's possible. Anything's possible.
You didn't say anything about a breach of the peace when you were testifying earlier in the other charge for the 25th, did you?
I said I was there to keep the peace.
You said you arrested him to keep it from escalating,
Correct.
but you didn't say escalating to a breach of the peace, did you?
Not those exact words, no.
You don't know?
I said not those exact words, no.
Okay. That's one of the elements, though, of the crime, isn't it?
Specifically what you're referring to. What are you referring to specifically?
Specifically?
Yes.
One of the elements of the crime is that the conduct of the accused is such that you gave a command to him, and that you gave a command to him to prevent a breach of the peace.
Yes.
You didn't say that, did you? In the first charge, in the first trial.
I asked him to go home so they wouldn't escalate. I don't think I used those exact words, but the actual basis of it was to keep it from escalating to a point. And I think I explained in the first trial that the mention of a gun, the previous fights, the yelling, and the distemper of Mr. Seals is the reason why I gave the command to go home.
Okay, but again, I don't think I got this from you the last time I asked this question. Would you have done anything different if you had known that that property where those cars were and that big dump truck or whatever it was, would you have done anything different?
Judge, same objection. He just objected to me as speculation.
Overruled.
Hindsight's always 20/20, and maybe not.
Okay. That wouldn't arise to the level of him being guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, would it?
If you ask me if I would have changed my mind from a year ago, would it change the perspective of being guilty beyond a reasonable doubt from a year ago? If I would have known that
If he owned the property.
I can't speak to that. That's speculation on my part.
You're taking cues from your lawyer, aren't you?
I'm just answering the question, sir.
Mm-hmm. That's number 9.
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Now approach with me. Do you recognize that as a letterhead of the city of Pearl?
Yes, it appears to be.
Okay. Now, officer, did you know that Leon Seals, before the 25th and the 26th, had been fined and ordered to clear those vehicles and that truck off of his property as being unsightly?
I knew there was an incident that happened, but I'm not saying to what specifics of what it was told and what he had to do. I didn't know.
Okay. So you don't know anything about it then?
I know that there was an incident where he was arrested before for that, but I didn't know what the specifics of what actually happened.
Didn't he tell you on both of those days, the 25th and the 26th of November 2023, that he had to get those vehicles off his property?
I told him that I wasn't aware of what specifics were in for him to actually clean up the property. I told him that plainly. I didn't have anything to do with that. I wasn't there for that. I didn't know anything about what specific.
But you told him you wasn't going to let him do it, that he had to leave.
That had nothing to do with that particular issue. What I had nothing to know about it, that had nothing to do with me and my mind frame of having him leave so he didn't clean up the property.
It had nothing to do with it. It had something to do with his well-being, didn't it? If you're preventing him from doing something that the court of the city of Pearl had already told him to do.
I don't know what the court told him to do.
You don't know what the court check on it?
Not at that time at night, no.
So you just deny somebody of their freedom based on what comes to your mind, right?
Incorrect.
Pardon?
No.
You arrested him on the 25th and the 26th, didn't you?
I sure did.
Because you were afraid that his conduct, shown by this video, you were afraid that his conduct might lead to a breach of the peace.
Correct.
Okay, what did he do specifically that you believed would or might lead to a breach of the peace?
The totality of the whole circumstances they encountered.
What did he do specifically?
He wouldn't leave when I asked him to leave. He became irate. He blamed some situation on the conspiracy theory between the mayor and Mr. Moore. There was a threat by Mr. Moore already about getting a pistol, by him being there. All
Mr. Moore was already in his house, though.
But you asked me what made me to make that decision. All those things combined, and all he had to do was go home, and he did.
And he did go home. He went on his own property.
No, to his home, his house.
Well, his house is on the property.
Not that house. He didn't go home, he didn't leave, and he was placed under arrest.
Okay. You're sticking to it just like Mr. Lentz, aren't you?
I'm telling the truth, sir.
He didn't resist or you putting handcuffs on him or getting in your vehicle, did he?
No.
That doesn't indicate that he would, that does not indicate that he was willing to let things escalate into a breach of the peace, was it?
It doesn't mean that he didn't mean to either.
Well, you didn't have to pull your gun on him, did you?
I did not pull my gun on him.
And he didn't raise his voice, according to what I heard on that video.
Maybe we see. I didn't pull a gun on him, and he did raise his voice.
You raised your voice much higher than his, didn't you?
Later on, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. You were so angry that you pushed him inside your car and slammed the door and called him a monkey, didn't you?
Let's put this into context.
Pardon?
No, I didn't actually push him into my car. I did call him a monkey.
Okay. Now, if somebody called you a monkey, that's going to make you angry, isn't it?
As well as the people threatening to put my family on Facebook for no reason. Yeah, that made me angry.
Who put your family on Facebook?
Mr. Seals was threatening to put my family on Facebook and investigate me and put all my whatever investigation. I mean, I'm trying to answer your
Is
question.
that on the video?
Yeah, it is.
Don't believe I heard that.
Well,
You say it is.
it's there. It's there.
Why did you call him a monkey?
Judge, this is argument at this point. All this happened after they arrested her.
That's a question. It's not argumentative.
I'll allow it.
I was angry.
You were about to commit a breach of the peace then, weren't you?
No.
Well, how are you different from him? He was angry, but he didn't commit a breach of the peace, did he?
He did.
He
So I
did.
wouldn't have arrested him.
He committed a breach of the peace.
He was.
Why didn't you charge him with breach of the peace then?
There's a misconstrued in the after that action.
That's all, yeah.
Can you redirect?
1 second. All right, again, we talked about this ad nauseum. You agree that you can disturb the peace on your own property.
Correct.
Have you ever made an arrest for somebody disturbing the peace on their own property?
Yes, sir, I have.
How many times?
Several.
Okay. And why do you typically make those arrests?
So they don't incur into something else violent.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right, thank you, sir. You can have a seat back with the state. Any other witnesses from the state?
1 second, John.
Any other witnesses?
Yeah, he's not here yet.
We're not.
Social is supposed to be on the way.
Judge, the gentleman that we discussed earlier is supposedly on the way.
So does the state want to call him as a witness, or you're making him available at the defendant's request of the defendant to call him as a witness, should they so choose?
Judge, if I could have about 10 seconds to
That's
think
fine.
about that.
And why don't y'all take 5 minutes
Okay,
and maybe.
give him an opportunity to get here too.
You can have a 5-minute break if you want to as well. If you need to go to the restroom or get some water, or you can stay at your table, whatever's best for you.
Thank you, Ron.
Yes, sir. Go take a break. I'm good. It went good. Our prosecutor had told us this. And so we had orchestrated where there were no trial sets. So we had inmates. but the
Thank you.
state had already communicated something.
Would you state your name, please, sir?
James Socher.
What is the address of your place of employment?
Say what now?
Sir,
What was that?
what is the name of the place of
Let
your
me get
employment?
how do you spell your last name?
SAUCIER.
That's how you like the town.
Just like the town. That's my
I was
family
gonna
down
guess
there.
that, but I had to too. Okay. So
Are
this
you
is the
related to
defendant's
Susan
second.
Social?
Were they from the coast?
Yeah.
Then yeah. The Ladners and the Sochers.
Well, I think she is. And around Hattiesburg, she's
Oh yeah.
there a lot too.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a little community named Social right there around Laurel.
Yeah. Just south of Hattiesburg. You know, my family's started that. My uncle was an attorney in Hattiesburg.
So I'm gonna direct your attention back to on or about the 25th day of November, I'm sorry, the 26th day of November of 2023.
Mhm.
And ask you whether or not you were called to called to go out to 112 Holmes Avenue that day
For disturbance.
for disturbance. Okay. And what did you find when you got there that day?
No disturbance.
No disturbance? Okay. And what did you do when you got there?
I walked down the end of the road and there's a tow truck across the road with the bed down. And it was evidently going to tow some cars off the property. I didn't know much about this deal with the property and whose property it was. Leon Sills was down there. He was holding a folder. I believe it was green, with some paperwork in it. And he was like, I'm towing the cars off my property. I was like, okay, tow them. I was called for a disturbance. Now, whatever goes on the land and all that, that's civil. Leon Sills wasn't causing a disturbance. So I didn't see an issue with what was going on in the moment.
And when you, when that was you and who were there at that time?
Sergeant Lentz and I think Officer Lawton was there.
Okay. All right. And do you recall when Officer Donnell Reynolds appeared on the scene?
When I saw Donnell pull up, I saw him walking Leon up the street in handcuffs. So I was concerned of what was going on. Why is Leon in handcuffs? He wasn't causing a disturbance. We were here for a disturbance. There was no disturbance. So why is Leon Seals in handcuffs? And so I got upset because at the time, Flex was like over a supervisor and I was a sergeant as well. So I felt like he should have came to me or Sergeant Lentz and said, hey, I'm arresting Leon because of this. There was none of that. He came down, put him in handcuffs, started walking up the street. So I got upset and I wanted to know why Leon was being arrested because we were there for a disturbance. There was no disturbance. Well, later I found out that Officer Reynolds had gave Leon a direct order not to come back down there.
But you didn't hear that, did you?
No, my chief told me that once I called the chief.
Okay.
Because I wasn't there that day before. I didn't know nothing about what happened the day before. I jumped the gun, flew off the handle as I shouldn't have, especially as a supervisor, and jumped the gun on what was going on. I took it upon myself to fly off the handle when I shouldn't have. I should have calmed down and asked questions.
Did you see or hear anything that went on that was disturbing the peace of Mr. Willie Moore?
When I got there?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Well, the whole time you were there?
No.
If there was a disturbance of the peace, were you close enough in proximity to where this was happening to be able to observe it?
Yes.
Okay. When Mr. Reynolds came to the scene that day, you and Mr. Lentz, Officer Lentz was there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Can you remember what Officer Reynolds asked you when he first came up?
I don't think we spoke.
Can you remember what Mr. Lentz told you?
No. I was on the other side of the tow truck. I didn't even see Officer Reynolds pull up at all.
Had you seen the body cam video
No, sir.
of that? And you don't recall Officer Lentz and you telling him, that is Officer Reynolds, that Leon was doing nothing wrong?
I may have said that, yes, sir, because he was not doing nothing wrong.
How long did you stay there?
I'm not sure.
Well, when you left, was everybody else gone?
No,
There weren't?
I left upset.
Well, you said you saw him arrest Leon though.
Mm-hmm. But I still left before Officer Reynolds did.
Okay. But he had already placed him under arrest, right?
Yes, sir.
And he placed him under arrest for disobeying a
Lawful command.
lawful command of a police officer.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see or hear him, that is Mr. Reynolds, do that?
Say what now?
Did you see or hear Officer Reynolds arrest him for disobeying a command of a police officer?
Yes, sir.
You did see that.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see that would have prompted Officer Reynolds to make that arrest?
Well, like I said before, when he arrested him, I didn't know that he had told him the day before not to come back down there. So that was a lawful command. Don't come back down here. You're going to go to jail. And he went right back down.
Now, are you sure? How do you know that he told Mr. Seals that?
That's what my chief told me.
Just what your chief told you. So you're just repeating hearsay, right?
That's pretty strong to say hearsay when it's your commanding officer, you know.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, he crossed.
Okay, just briefly, Judge. Officer Soche.
It's either one.
I'm sorry. I've been going back and forth all day.
I understand.
All right, so, okay, your testimony was when you got there, you didn't see a disturbance, but you said Mr. Seals was already in cuffs when you got there?
No, sir.
Okay, so you spoke to Mr. Seals before he was arrested?
Yep.
Okay, good. I'm just trying to clarify that. But when you got there, you testified that there were vehicles being towed.
Yep, not yet. The tow truck was there to tow.
In progress.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you give somebody, as a law enforcement officer, Can you give somebody a command on one day that would still be valid the next day?
Absolutely.
Okay, can you write somebody a citation or arrest somebody for disturbing the peace on your own property or property that you believe to be your own property?
Say that again?
Can you arrest somebody for disturbing the peace on their own property?
No. You said on your own property?
Yeah, right. If it's in the vicinity of others, can you disturb somebody else's peace while standing on your property?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
That's okay.
I've been at work for a long time.
I understand. Thank you for being here.
You objected, but it felt like you were withdrawing that, or you,
No,
what was your objection?
I wanted to go ahead and object to the question because he's asking him to testify to what's legal and what isn't, and I don't believe he's qualified to do that.
Well, based on your training and knowledge of the law, I think you absolutely can testify.
Well, as to the ultimate legal conclusion, the court's going to come up with that, and we'll give you an opportunity to rephrase your question.
Have you ever arrested somebody for disturbing the peace on their own property?
Yes.
Objection,
Well,
you cannot use another incident to try to convict
It's not
somebody.
about this person, though. It's about his experience. It's not about this person. I'll allow that.
okay, and finally, you testified when you were out there, you didn't have any idea that something happened on the 25th.
No, sir.
No more questions.
All right. Is this witness finally accused by the defense?
I think so. I don't believe we
All
can.
right. And
Beat
the
it
state
dead
is not
horse.
your witness that you won't need him again?
No, Your Honor.
All right. You're welcome to stay, or you can go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else from the defense?
Yes, Mr. Leon Seals.
Okay. Come on. You're already under oath from earlier, so you're still under oath. Just have a seat.
Mr. Seals, what if anything did Officer Reynolds tell you on the 25th about returning to your property on the 26th or any day out thereafter?
Nothing. He just told me, let it go for the night and handle it another day, as you can see in the video.
What about the video?
He said, handle it another day. Just let it go for the night.
Okay. When he said, let it go for today, what did you take that to mean?
He don't want to be out there. He got caught out there and wasting his time on something. He like a drug interdiction officer or something like that. He's not a patrol officer. So like he didn't want to be out there, but he was forced to come out there by someone.
Now, do you, with the documents that we've introduced into evidence, tell the court whether or not it's your assertion that you did nothing wrong?
Absolutely did nothing wrong. If I could go back to the 25th that night when I was getting booked in, Officer Lent and Sosa was booking me in on this situation with Darnell. And they was cracking jokes about me filming the police. And Sosa stated he was gonna film me like I filmed the police. And I told him, I ain't got no problem with that. You might go famous. And Lynn said, I'm surprised your phone ain't broke, ugly as he is. And I said, your wife would love to have me. And he snatched me and threw me in the cell. So after all that went down, Sosa, I got mad, and Sosa said something's not right about this situation. He said it wasn't a 911 call on the incident with Darnell.
Yeah, that's going to be hearsay now. They had an opportunity to get all that out when Sosa was on stand on cross-examination. Actually, direct examination. It was his witness.
Well, he's the one that's testifying, Your Honor.
Well, you can't tell me what someone else said.
All right,
You can't do that. You can only tell me what you said.
okay. Well, those two did know about the incident on the 25th prior to 26th. And Sosa, you said, I can't tell you what he said. I showed Sosa my paperwork and he's gonna stand up for me, is what I was told, how the vehicle's towed in the morning. And they came to the scene and Sosa asked the guy what type of criminal activities that took place. And he didn't understand. He tried to explain that Leon trying to have the rakers remove these vehicles. So Lynch said, I don't think he quite understood you. What type of criminal activities? He said, none. Sosa said, stop calling the damn police station over a civil matter. The vehicle's getting towed. I don't give a damn who you call. And Willie Moore's son bagged up, got on his phone, made a phone call.
Here's
and
Your Honor.
Sosa.
Saying, you can't tell me what somebody else said.
He didn't say what he said.
No, he has over and over and over again. I've just been waiting.
Well, he
for
may
you to
have,
say
he may have.
over and over.
So-
The
I'm
objection.
gonna direct you. Can't do that. Okay?
All right, so with a video, like, okay,
I'm gonna watch the videos, but those are all videos from the scene.
correct.
I'm going to watch the videos. You've seen them, your attorney's seen them, the state has as well. I'm going to watch them
I would
before I
like,
make my decision.
I would like for the viewers to see the video.
The viewers, I'm the only viewer.
And we haven't yet been given the video from the body count of social.
Well, I mean, well,
Who
I
has it?
gave you everything we got.
we dealt with pretrial matters before we started including discovery matters, so that issue is passed.
Well, they came to the scene on my behalf and told me Sosa gave me
Can
a,
you tell me what other people
oh,
said?
all right, I was given a direct order
You
to,
can tell me what you said.
all right, I was given a direct order to stand here and watch the vehicles get towed. So I'm standing there watching the vehicles get towed, and all of a sudden Darnell pull up, where's Leon? And he places me under arrest, and the other officer want to know what I'm under arrest for. After they told me to have the vehicles towed, I went to the police station that morning and verified it with the police. I went to the dispatch window and told them I'm gonna have some vehicles removed off my property. They said, it's your property, you can have vehicles removed. So I went to get the vehicles removed, like I was informed by the police officers and everyone, and I ended up getting arrested again. And clearly in the video, the officer stated Leon hasn't committed a crime. No crime has been committed.
All right, I'm gonna watch the video. Any other questions? Mr. Rankin?
I don't think so, Your Honor. He's testified that what he did, didn't do, and why.
Any calls from the state?
Judge, I don't think so. I think the videos, you have an opportunity to watch them.
That's perfect.
Tell
Thank
the
you,
whole-
sir. Anything in closing from the defense? You don't have to make a closing argument if you don't want to, but you're welcome to.
Well, I will if the prosecutor does.
All right, anything in closing from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
We'll-
All right, then I'm gonna release y'all. I'm gonna watch the videos before I rule. I'll see the next time I'm gonna be here. '21st, I'll be here for a civil day. So I'm going to rule on this matter, on the 21st at 1:00. Y'all are welcome to be here. If not, I'll do it. I'm gonna go and get a copy of it. If you want to be here, you can. I'll roll on the 21st. Put that on the bucket for that day. All right, I'm gonna watch the toilet time.
I want to restate my position on the fact that there has been no proof.
It's so
that-
noted. It's so
Ma'am?
noted. It's so noted. I got that already.
There's been no proof that the
breach of the peace charge, that third charge. I understand.
And
it.
ma'am, it's the disturbance of the peace.
It's that third charge, the disturbance of the peace charge.
And Judge, I would encourage you, everyone, to read the Maston versus State 2015 Court of Appeals decision that lays out the absolute elements required to prove disorderly conduct failure to comply.
SCON.
Yes, Your Honor. We can email a
Why
copy.
don't you just provide a copy to the court?
Okay.
Maston versus State, what's that? Sign?
2015 Court of Appeals, it is, the style is, let's see, 180 Southern 3D 732, 2015.
But the state's gonna provide the court a copy of that.
We will.
All right, perfect. All right, and so let me just.
Can I have a copy?
Yeah, we'll email it.
I've got one
We can-
for a recording device, and he can do that. So it's gonna record this audio, okay?
That's fine.
Well, that's it, y'all. Then she said she was gonna give a verdict out on a particular day. To this day, yet to get a verdict. So y'all tell me in the comments what y'all think. And we got proof. I'm gonna show the body cam footage tomorrow. Lent lied 100%. Sosa lied like 10%. Darnell lied like 70%. And the judge lied 100%. She just said she gonna give a verdict. Yet to this day, I still don't have a verdict. And I've been going to the courtroom. Post your comments. All right. That's it for tonight.
The Mike Magazine. Facebook is okay. However, YouTube is way better. Go follow my mom on YouTube.
That's right.
Like, subscribe, get notified. Timothy Buckner here, a voice behind the mic.
And remember, if you need a professional commercial, let me know. Angela Buckney here, the voice behind the mic.
The Mike Magazine. Facebook is okay. However, YouTube is way better. Go follow my mom on YouTube.
That's right.
Like, subscribe, get notified. Timothy Buckner here, a voice behind the mic.
And remember, if you need a professional commercial, let me know. Angela Buckney here, the voice behind the mic.